AI is getting crazier day by day, and there are tools coming out that are just mind-blowing. Today we are looking at Databutton, which is probably one of the best tools that I've worked with so far when it comes to just creating applications from prompting. I genuinely really liked working with that because throughout my whole process, there was only one line of code that I had to do, and that wasn't even coding. I just replaced the model from Gemini 1 to Gemini 1.5 Pro. And that's pretty much it. Just by prompting and asking it to see the logs and figuring out errors on its own, I was able to create a full-fledged, full-stack application using React, Python, Gemini 1.5 Pro, and RAG that can actually work with bank statements that you can upload there. And you can ask questions about your bank statements and your transactions from it, just like you would do with an AI chatbot. So before we go into the video, I want to remind you that a lot of you don't really subscribe to the channel but are enjoying the videos. So please support the channel by just hitting that like button and the subscribe button, and make sure to hit the bell icon so you get the notifications of all the craziness that's coming your way in the coming months. With that said, let's get started. All right, so this is Databutton, and according to them, this is the world's best AI app builder ever. I've tried it quite a bit, and I think it's actually one of the best tools that I've used so far. And without further praises, I'm just gonna get into the code. So if you sign up on databutton.com, after that you can go to the new page or just create a new application, and you can describe here about your application, what you want to do. So in this video, I want to create an AI expense buddy that helps me manage my expenses better. So the idea is to have an app where I can upload PDF files, and using Google Gemini, RAG, and PineCone database, I am able to somehow see the analysis of all my transactions and analyze how I can improve my expenses. So I've given the app name called AI Expense Buddy. The page is an expense manager that helps professionals and students analyze and manage their spending habits. And this should be habits. And then the description here is the app will have a home page with two links, upload and analyze. The upload page will allow uploading PDF bank statements, which will be stored in the backend. The analyze page will show analysis from the PDF using RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation. And I have multiple talks that I've given to conferences about this as well. And Gemini and PineCone, including the spending habits based on predefined common categories. So I want analysis to show me, for example, streaming services, groceries, travel, etc. And details of common merchants and suggestions to manage expenses better. The target audience is going to be students and professionals who want to optimize their spending habits. I've put the main screen size as mobile because I want it to be quite responsive. I'm trying to make this really tough for Databutton, and I want to see how good it does it. And finally, I'm saying for the design guidelines, we want to use Tailwind CSS and Daisy UI for the UI, and keeping it clean and modern. So I'm going to use this and just go with generate starting point with AI. Now, one of the things that I want to put it out there is Databutton is quite different from the other AI agents out there, because usually in other agents like Cursor or V0, you give a prompt, it generates some response, and then you need to sort of start from there, or you don't expect it to know all the context that has happened before. In Databutton, what I've seen is that it actually acts like an assistant. So it keeps a memory of all of your tasks as well, and it has a back and forth communication with you as it goes forward. So I'm just gonna let it build the application, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so here you can see that it is creating a mobile-based application, and I can also switch to different previews as well. And here it also has listed the tasks for me. And on the left side, you can see a bunch of things. So we have the home page. So here you'll see all of your pages. If you have further UI components, that would come here. If you have, for example, your backend API endpoints, they would come here. And then if you upload any files, they would be here. So I'm expecting to upload the PDF files right here. So I should be able to see them here. And then on the right side, we have all the discussions with the agent. I can also look at the code just like this, and I can edit it, but I don't want to do it. I want Databutton to do all the heavy lifting for me, because if I'm coding it myself, I think we then miss the point. And on the right side, you can see that it has a tasks list, which I can also see from here as well. So if I click view tasks, here you can see that we have these tasks like implement upload functionality, create a homepage navigation, develop analysis engine. So all of these are the tasks that we're going to work on. And it's a really nice way to just keep track of whatever you're doing. So I really like this. So I'm gonna hide tasks, and I'm gonna start talking to the agent as well. So here now it says that here are the main tasks we are going to work on: create the homepage navigation, setting up the navigation between upload and analysis page or analyze page. Then we have implementing the upload functionality, and then we have develop analysis engine. So I think first, if I click this, you can see that it says no page found. So the home page works well. The other pages do not. So first I'm going to go with create a home page navigation. So let's click that. And you can see that it sends a message to the agent on my behalf, which says I want to set up navigation links on my homepage to connect to upload and analysis page. Now you can see that instead of just directly doing something, it breaks it down into further things. So here you can see that it says we need to create upload and analyze pages because I can see we don't really have them. Would you like to break this down into smaller tasks, or should we proceed with implementing the pages directly? And this is one of the things that I really like about Databutton, that it can break down tasks into smaller tasks. So you keep track of all of that pretty nicely. So I'm going to instruct it to break down tasks into smaller tasks and start with the upload page. So I'm instructing it to just create dummy pages for now, and we are going to implement each page one by one later. And there you go. It has now updated the task. And here you can see create homepage navigation is still there. And if I go to view tasks, here you can see that I have already the first task, create homepage navigation, in progress, and it is handling subtasks right here. So now it's going to write some code, creating the upload page and creating the analyze page. You can see that the upload page is already here. Now we also have the analyze page, and I'm assuming it would also link those with the home page as well, and I don't have to tell it that. Let's see. Here you can see it prompted for app deployment, and we can see this is going to be the URL where this is going to be deployed. So I'm going to deploy the app using this, but I also want to test out the navigation. So if I click upload statement, you can see that it takes me to the page directly. So it also figured out and linked it with the home page. And if I go to analyze, you can see that as well. And we have a back to home button as well. Really cool so far. So here you can see it says I've created 2 placeholder pages with consistent styling and back navigation. This is also really good. So after the agent is finishing something all the time, it tells what it does, which is really, really helpful as well. Now at the top right, you can see that it says deploying your application, and now this has been successfully deployed, which means that if I click this deploy, I can actually see it right away. And this is super cool. I have a deployed application that I can just start showing off. And if I click this, you can see that the navigation works pretty well as well. Alrighty, I think we need to go to the next task. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this task as done. And you can see that the agent already is looking at the task. So it's now listing the task, and it would ask me, what do we want to do next? So here I have the 2 options remaining now from the tasks that we had. We have implement upload functionality and develop analysis engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say implement upload functionality, and this is going to cover not only the front end, but also the back end as well. So I'm going to just click implement upload functionality. I'm assuming we are going to break this down as well. And I'm going to bring some water in the meantime as well. All right, super cool. So if I see here, it says implement upload functionality. Now, should we break this down into smaller tasks? So I think I'm going to go with the backend for now. So when we implement the front end, it's already able to connect. So I'm going to go with setup backend API. And one of the things that also you can see is this console here. So if I click this, you should be able to see a lot of logs as well. So it's going to come from the front end application, but then also if it's going to try something or the agent tries something, we can also see those logs here. And especially when we are going to work with the backend, which is the Python API, we should also be able to print something on the backend to see logs here as well, which is pretty nice. All right, so you can see that it is now trying to create the upload API, which is here, upload statement. But one of the things that you'll also see that sometimes it actually fails, but it tries to recover from it automatically. So here it says I've created the backend endpoint that accepts the PDF files only, stores them in DB storage binary with a unique file name, returns the storage path on success. Cool. So if I click this, I should be able to see the code as well. So it's using FastAPI, and it uses this Databutton, which is essentially Databutton's internal APIs for storage and some other things as well. But essentially we have an upload statement endpoint using Python and FastAPI, and we should be able to just save those files into the db.storage.binary, which is Databutton in this case. Now that we have this, let's try to implement the upload component. So I'm going to click that, and let's see what happens then. By the way, one disclaimer while this is writing the code, I'm gonna probably skip a few parts where I am waiting for it to write code, so you don't have to, and we are going to make this video quick. But the idea of this video is to show you what is the potential with Databutton. It also created some components like toaster and toast, and this is the upload page that it has modified. So I'm going to try to upload a PDF. Now on uploading, I can actually see that there's an error that it says did not find CR at the end of the boundary. We have some issues going on here as well. So I'm going to ask it to test out the upload feature and make sure everything works, because it doesn't at the moment. And one of the things that I really like about Databutton is I can just ask it to check the logs and figure things out itself, so I don't have to. So I'm going to just send this message and I'll let Databutton do its thing. So now if I try uploading a PDF, it should work. So let's try it out. And here you can see that we still got an error. And this is an error that I've seen before when I was trying Databutton out. So when it tries to upload a particular file to the storage, it can only have letters, digits, or these particular symbols. Whereas the file that I'm trying to upload might have something else like small brackets, etc. So I'm going to give it this log and I'm going to ask it to just fix it itself. So all I'm saying is see the logs and fix the error. So I'm going to try uploading a file now. And there we go. We can see that it was able to upload it successfully. Nice. And if I go down here, you can see this is my PDF file. If I click this, you can see that this is the file that has been created or uploaded. Nice. So my upload feature actually works, and now I have a PDF statement right there. Now I want to work on the analysis part. So I'm going to mark this one as done. And now that it is done already, the agent tells me what's next. So we have this analysis engine, and now we have these things. So we have to set up RAG with Gemini and PineCone. We also have to create endpoints for analyzing statements and building the analysis UI to display insights and suggestions. Would you like to proceed with this task? I'm just going to say yes, and I'll let Databutton do its thing. I was also hoping that it would break it down to smaller tasks, because this is a lot to do in one go. And here you can see the agent automatically suggests that. So it's breaking it down into further tasks. So we have these tasks: the PDF extraction and processing, RAG setup with Gemini and PineCone, expense categorization and analysis UI with insights and suggestions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest it to create the embeddings when we upload the PDF. So not when we are requesting, because then we would be regenerating the embeddings every single time. So I'm giving it the prompt that generate the embeddings for RAG when we upload the PDF, and set up RAG with Gemini and PineCone for that. When we go to the analysis endpoint part, we just need to retrieve the data query, and we will not generate any embeddings when we are querying the data. So I'm going to just send it. All right, so the agent says it's going to modify the upload endpoint to do this, and we are going to see what happens then. It's also researching, which means that it sometimes goes to different URLs to see some code and analyze from there. And then once it completes its research, then it writes the code, which to me sounds like a developer. All right, so now for PineCone, it's asking me the PineCone API key. So I'm going to quickly copy that, and let's provide it here. And I'm going to hit send. Oh, interesting. It failed with that. All right. Now we have the Google API key. So you can go to aistudio.google.com and click this button, and then you can generate your API key. So I'm also going to use this one. And now I can paste it right here. So I'm giving the prompt to agent right now that I've hard-coded the API keys for now. And let's proceed with testing the API endpoint. So when the file is uploaded, we want to see if it generates the embeddings in PineCone database. So let's try this out. All right. Now let's try to upload the file. So I'm uploading the PDF file, and let's see if it fixes it. All right, so I figured out I made a mistake when providing the API keys. Now I've provided it correctly. So I'm going to tell the agent to see and try out the endpoint. All right, so let's go to upload statement. I'm going to upload a new PDF. All right, so we see an error from the PineCone. So I'm going to copy this log and share it in the chat. And I think I remember this when trying out Databutton before as well. So let's see if it fixes it quickly now. All right, let's try uploading a new PDF. Okay. All right, so we are not providing the cloud and the region. So I'm going to copy this, send this to Databutton, because I don't know what the values of those are, or actually I know, but I don't want to put them. And I'll let Databutton figure out what are the default values and to create them then. All right, so it is using US West 2 in this case, and also cloud as AWS. So I'm going to try uploading another file. So let's reload this, clear the logs, and now uploading the file again. Alrighty, so we got a bad request now. Here it says the US West 2 is not really supported. So I'm going to say use US East 1 for PineCone, because I think that's what I had before. All right, so let's try again. No errors so far. So let's see how this goes. Alrighty, so upload was successful, but we didn't see any logs for the actual generation of embeddings. However, now that I've come to PineCone, I can see that we have US East 1, we also can see bank statements, which is for our application. So this is the index that it's using. And I also see the statements here as well. So we also have the data. So the embeddings are being generated. Hey, let's go. So it took some time, but we are there now. Now I want to try this again. So I'm going to delete this file just to ensure. And I'm going to go to PineCone and delete this vector as well. And now I'm going to try uploading the file again. So I'm going to go to upload statement, upload the PDF again. And now it's uploading right now. We don't see, or we see the response here, and it automatically then goes to analyze expenses, which is pretty nice. So if I go to bank statements and reload, there we go. We have the embeddings here. Hey, now I think this part is done. Let's actually go towards analyzing the expense. So I'm giving the agent the prompt that great, uploading PDF and generating vectors now works flawlessly. Let's move to retrieving the analysis. It has to be accurate per the PDF file, and it could contain 500 transactions, for example, per PDF. And we need the spending habits, the suggestions, and information on common merchants for categories. Let's go. Alrighty, so here it says it will help with that. So we need an API that will retrieve vectors from PineCone, use Gemini to analyze transactions, and return categorized spending, merchant analysis, and suggestions. All right, so finally the agent stopped and it wrote a bunch of code. And I can see that here it says analyzing statement 404 statement not found, latest not found. So if I look at the file here, I do have the file here. And if I look at the endpoint that it has created for analyze statement, so if I go down, you can see that the router.get here says analyze statement / file name. So I'm telling the agent that in the analyze statement endpoint, do not require the file name in the endpoint. Just read the PDF files already in the Databutton storage and perform RAG on them as expected. No. So I'm asking the agent that the logs show that we don't get anything particular from PineCone maybe, or we are using PDF content to send to Gemini. We don't want to send that. We just use embeddings for our query RAG. All right, so the agent says, I see, we should modify the code to properly use RAG with embeddings. Exactly. And now I can deploy this, but I can also try to just reload and see if what we have works. So if I reload this, let's see what happens. Okay, so listing files, good. Querying PineCone with embeddings. So now it says no statement text found in vector databases. So we can't really find any match there as well. So the best match score is this. Interesting. So I'm going to ask it to see the logs and also to see the code that we use for uploading the statement, that if we are sending the right thing to PineCone, because it can't find them. So I'm telling the agent to analyze the logs, and it seems like we can't find anything in PineCone, even if we have one match, and it says no metadata found there. So are we sure we are using the right thing for uploading the vectors to PineCone? And if not, just suggest something from itself. Again, the point here is that I don't have to write a single line of code, and I want Databutton to do everything. All right, so here it found the issue. We are not storing the text in the metadata when uploading to PineCone. Let me fix both the upload and analyze endpoints. That's what I thought. So when we look at the PineCone data here, we only see the values in here, and we don't have any metadata at all, which we probably should have. I also think that we may want to chunk the data that we are storing in PineCone, maybe distribute into different smaller chunks. Maybe that would make the query faster. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. All right, so it seems like it already is now storing chunks in PineCone metadata, which is good. So I'm going to actually delete the file from here. And I'm also going to go to PineCone and delete this vector as well. And as you can see, the agent already probably heard about my thought process. So it is storing the extracted text in a chunk of 8,000 characters, trying to upload a new file now. And there we go. Now we have something sent there, and now we are also analyzing, and we get some data back as well. Nice. And now we're sending it to Gemini for analysis. If we look at the PineCone right now, we should be able to see a new vector. So if I refresh, there we go. We have right now here the text chunks that you can see right here. And now if I go here, it says expecting delimiter, blah, 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 error passing AI response. So I took a break, came back and continued of asking it, just fix the things that you can. So I'm asking the agent to make it so that we analyze the whole PDF by using all the vectors from PineCone. We want it to be consistent for total spending, so we get the same response every time. And also spending by category doesn't seem to work. So let's see what the agent does. All right, so we see some response now. So we have 26,000 Swedish crowns that I can see. We have transfer. And then we also have other transactions like transportation, restaurants and cafes. And I can see the categories right here as well that make up the 100%. Interesting. Nice. And then we also can see the top level merchants as well, all the top merchants in this case. This is actually my own account since I am transferring the information in here. And I can see that this was 3 times that I did that. So this is super, super cool. Now, the last thing that I wanted to do is to create a chat interface, which I can use to ask questions from this, where we can actually see RAG happening. So I'm first going to mark this task as done. And now I can go ahead and say here, we need a chat interface where the user can ask questions about the transactions, for example. And that means that it's not only going to have a UI, but also the backend implementation. Alrighty, so it created some tasks. So if I go to view task, I can see implement transaction chat interface. Nice. And now it says, would you like to start working on this feature now? And the chat interface would allow users to ask questions like this. Good. So I'm going to go with saying implement chat interface. All right, so I can see that it's creating a new API endpoint for the chat functionality. Good. And I can already see that we have this chat backend now. So the agent has created a new API endpoint, chat with transactions, also have updated the analyzed page to actually include all of that. But when we go to the page, it first tries to get all the analysis, and I think then it shows the chat interface. So we'll see. And with this UI, I see a problem that in order to use chat, I actually have to wait for the analysis to complete. So maybe I can ask the agent to move out the chat feature from this analyze page. All right, so we have moved out the chat features. If I go to home now, I see upload statement, chat with AI, and analyze expenses. So I can go to upload statement, still looks fine. Then I can go to chat with AI. And here I can actually ask questions like, show me my top 3 expenses. So if I put there and if I send it, let's see what happens. Alrighty, so here you can see your top 3 expenses are transfer, 20,000 Swedish crowns, insurance, and then some loans. And now I am asking, what are my grocery expenses and where? So let's send this. And there we go. We can see that we have these total expenses. And you can see I spent some money on Ica Maxi, some on Ica Quantum, blah, 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 on Willy, Smart Walden. Super nice. Now I'm also going to ask list my travel expenses with dates. So I'm going to send this. All right, so here we do have some expenses. So Mangal, Airbnb, there have been some transactions in San Francisco as well. Interesting. Now I also want to add just a loader when we're getting the response. So I can also ask about that. Add a loader in the chat interface when we are waiting for the response from the backend. So let's send it. All right, so it seems like we should have a loader now. So I'm going to start the deployment at least. Now I'm going to ask if I spent anything in Poland. Let's see. Okay, so it says, yes, you spent this amount in Poland on the following transaction. So this is in Poland. This is Warsaw. This is Warsaw. That makes sense. Super nice, right? This is super, super cool. And I did not have to write even a single line of code. The only thing that I did was just updating the model that we were using from Gemini 1.0 to Gemini 1.5 Pro. That's the only thing that I did manually. So now that we have deployed this, let's test it out. So I'm going to go to the production URL, and this is our AI expense buddy. So if I go to chat with AI, this is the same thing. So here I can ask, what did I spend in Germany? And you can see here, I spent something in Nuremberg. So I was there speaking at a DevFest or the DevFest Nuremberg. And here you can also see I spent something at the airport as well. Nice. So this is deployed. This works flawlessly. And if I want to go to analyze expenses, I should be able to see the analysis here as well. And while that is loading the analysis, I want to actually implement one last thing so I can actually share this with you. And that is the ability to see the uploaded PDFs and removing them as well. And when we do so, removing them from PineCone as well. So I'm asking the prompt that add the possibility of seeing all the PDFs as a list on the upload page and to delete a PDF from there, which in turn should also remove the related vector embeddings from PineCone as well. So people can try out their own PDFs and delete as well. So I'm going to just send this. In the meantime, we can see here that we have the data coming from the analysis as well. We do have all the categories here as well. We do also see the merchants as well. So all of that is here. All right, for this, you can see that it already is creating an API endpoint for deleting and listing the PDF files. So I'm now telling the agent it can't find any PDF files because when I go to the upload page, it just has no statements still. So I've asked it to look at the PDF file from storage, which is this, and then analyze, if our code is doing something wrong. All right, so finally we have the upload statement here, and now we should be able to delete it as well. So here I can see the delete action. Nice.
Now it's also fixing the delete endpoint to use the correct file name comparison. Okay, that's good. I did not ask for it, but it's doing it, so that's nice. Great. I want to see if I delete this now, does it delete the PDF and PineCone as well? So if I delete now, I'm gonna confirm deletion. All right, so we got a 500 in this case. Review the logs for more details. The file is gone. I think the PineCone did not go away maybe. So let's refresh. I'm gonna say check the logs. We got a 500 on delete. So after refreshing, I can still see the data right here. I think that could be the issue. Okay, so we don't have the file anymore because it has been deleted. So I'm going to try to add the file now. So let's quickly do that. But I also wanted to delete everything from here as well. All right, so we got 34 chunks, which should be there. Now if I refresh, we do have 32 chunks. Good. Now I want to say that we first need to delete the PineCone vector and then the PDF itself. So we can say here, delete the PineCone vectors first, then the file. All right, so we could delete 32 vectors now. So if I go to PineCone, yay, there's no data here and we should have the PDF removed as well. Good. And we should not be able to see that here as well. Nice. So I'm going to reload this and actually let's also deploy this to deploy the app. So I'm going to upload the PDF real quick and now it's being uploaded. There we go. We are also generating the embeddings as well. There we go. All the things have been saved. So we do have the PDF here. We do have the files here as well. And if I go to the deployment and if I try to just go to the home page and chat with AI, give me my Poland transactions. And there we go. We got the same transactions. Nice. So this is working fine. Now, if I wanted to delete it, I could just say delete, delete, and it should work fine. So deleted the PineCone vectors, which should reduce your PDF and your information from the vectors. So if you're trying this demo out, now you can easily do it and ensure that everything is deleted as well. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed the video. I really liked working with Databutton, especially because I did not have to write any single line of code. And even though I got stuck into some things, for example, there were some situations where the secrets won't upload, but the support from Databutton was crazy. They just fixed the issue and reached out as soon as they could. And also, even when the Databutton agent got stuck into some things, it could resolve the issue on its own. Now, I want to admit that using Databutton feels like it can be used by any level of engineer, junior or senior, but depending on what experience you have, that would highly contribute to what kind of application you can create with Databutton, because you saw me prompting very accurately on what I wanted to do with some experienced information as well, where I had to give it a particular link or tell it a particular technique as well. So even though the tool is amazing, it's going to be who's using the tool and how they're trying to use the tool to create amazing applications. With that said, I want to thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, press the thumbs up button, and also thank you for subscribing the channel already. Thank you. And I'm going to see you in the next video. As always, happy coding.